Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
From Nashville Public Radio, I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. You may still be able to see the lights glowing over downtown Nashville, and you're definitely going to hear 737s coming and going from the airport, but you can still find yourself a world away at Percy Priest Lake. We're going to hear a lot of stories this hour, but we start with the cold facts. This is a reservoir that was created by damming up the Stones River, named for Nashville's 7-term Congressman Percy Priest, who served in the U.S. House during World War II up until his death in 1956. You've got more than 200 miles of shoreline, average depth 30 feet, max depth 100 feet. We've got about 40 islands, about half of them have names, surrounded by nearly 19,000 acres of public lands. For perspective here, that is more land than all of metro parks combined. There's hiking, camping, boating, fishing, even ill-advised, potentially dangerous cliff diving, which we are not recommending, but definitely happens there. The reason we are spotlighting this lake is that it is primarily a locals lake, and it's a lake for everyone. On its shores, you will see families on picnics or celebrating birthdays. We'll even join a gathering later this hour. Friends heading out on a boat for some wakeboarding, people fishing from a boat or the bank, and dedicated trail runners and mountain bikers. The phone lines are open today, and we want to hear from you. Have you paddled the lake? Do you do the polar bear plunge? Maybe you're an open water swimmer. We definitely want to hear your story. Give us a call to join on air, 615-760-2000. We'll get the hour going out on the water with the Nashville Rowing Club and the soothing sounds of an evening practice. This is Nashville producer Katherine Ruppelt.
After a very hot day, the temperature is finally dropping on the banks of Percy Priest Lake. Nashville Rowing Club members Leah Acosta and Brian Avons and the rest of the competitive team are reattaching riggings to their long, narrow boats. It's something they have to do after transporting them on trailers to competitions called regattas.
So are these all supposed to have locker washers underneath it? Because I know we talked about that earlier.
They should have a locker.
They should have a locker, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't do this correctly then.
With all hands on deck, or really port and starboard, several rowers reflect on what they love most about the sport.
Best part about being on the water is the atmosphere, especially during practice, watching the sun come up or go down. It's really great.
Just being out on the water and making the boats move is fun.
I like to be outside, having a wind in my face, or enjoying being on the water, and also just like the sounds of rowing that goes along with that.
It can feel horrendous while you're rowing, but in the best way. And then you're done and you're full of endorphins and you feel like you're floating and you feel a sense of accomplishment that I did something hard and you're with your friends.
You know, the thing that really drew me to Nashville rowing was just the diversity of people involved, like people of all backgrounds, all shapes and sizes, and different fitness levels and ages, and it's really fun to kind of get engaged with a group like that. And a lot of people on the team have become some of my best friends in Nashville.
Those last two rowers are Madeline Cawley and Rohan Goel. Rohan started a rowing team in high school and then rowed for Harvard. Madeline came to rowing 3 years ago after training on rowing machines called ergs at a gym before she decided to try rowing on the water for real. Once the boats are set to go, groups of rowers collectively hoist each one over their heads and walk down to the dock.
Okay, weight off. Up and overhead. Ready, up. Toes to edge. Down to waist. Ready, roll. And in the water.
They grab their oars and climb in to boats with names like Gang of Four, The Ryman, and The Fast and the Furious.
You want to push off? Yeah. Okay, push off in 3, 2, 1.
Head coach Emma Ewell is in a motorized boat called a launch. She heads out into open water towards a course designated by buoys and coaches from a megaphone.
And we got to work on our slide timing a little bit. So coming out of the finish together here, the hands away needs to be together. There you go. And Jack, let's work on getting that body over.
The rowers respond to Emma's feedback as they move through a few drills. They're focused, brows are furrowed, and they use their entire bodies to dip their oars in and out of the water, moving their boats quickly along the surface. At one point, Emma cuts the engine and watches a four-seater glide by. Back at the dock, off the water, Madeline puts up her boat and gear and then gathers for drinks to finish cooling down on this warm June night. She'll be back out later this week to do it all again.
It was fun. It's a nice night. Had some interesting wakes from boats, but, makes it fun. A little more of a challenge. Tired. But I think that's the point. Means we were doing something right.
Thanks to producer Katherine Ruppelt for that snapshot. Just one of the many ways people around Nashville enjoy Percy Priest Lake. What didn't make the story, maybe it was a rare capsized rowboat. We're not asking about that, though, this hour. Here in the studio with me is Sean Wodarczyk, president of the Nashville Rowing Club. Sean, welcome to This is Nashville.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, I don't know, how's the water this week? Is the lake getting busy?
It probably is. I haven't been out yet this week because our first practice is Tuesday night, which will be tonight for the week. But over the weekend, the water was actually great. And we are seeing some more boat traffic from other lake users because the weather's getting nice. And so people are going to be out.
Can't blame them. So, you've rowed many places on different rivers, lakes. How would you describe, like the personality, the vibe of Priest Lake?
The vibe is kind of interesting. It's a little bit of everything. I would think there's no one vibe, there's many vibes. So you've got a real collection of different users out there. You've got us, the rowers, you've got kayakers, you've got open water swimmers, you've got jet skiers, all sorts of different folks. So sometimes there's a little bit of a party vibe that sometimes gets a little bit problematic for the rowers. Sometimes there's the work hard and go fast vibe. That's the rowing vibe. And then, there's also, let me just tell you an example of kind of what the atmosphere is like. So usually on Thursday nights, we'll be out there on the lake, and there's a boat ramp where there's usually some jet skiers or other boat users launching. There's some fishermen around. There's usually a group that's blaring mariachi music, and there I am in my rowing shell with my friend Dietmar, who you heard in the introduction, who speaks, German accented English, with a coach yelling over a megaphone. So it can be a little chaotic at times, but it's good. It's good. It's overall a good vibe.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, tell me about your section of the lake. I mean, you all have a course set up. Is that your course? Can anybody use the rowing buoys?
Well, yes and no. So let me answer that more definitely. That course is owned by us and by Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And so Vanderbilt's rowing club is a co-owner of the course. And so those buoys we install for a chunk of the year. The Army Corps of Engineers lets us do that. We then host a regatta out there where we have people from all over the country come and visit. So while Percy Priest is very much a local lake, we get people from as far as California to come to use it, which is awesome. And so that course is owned by us. Other paddlers are welcome to be out there. We do encourage motorboatists to kind of stay out of it because the propellers from their engines can get caught in the buoy lines, and that can cause a lot of damage both to the course and to the motorboatists stuff. If you're out there and you want to come take a rowing boat down the course, feel free.
I confess, I think one time when I was out there and saw the buoys, I might have thought there was like a slalom skiing course or something, which, don't know how often that happens. But
we have seen it. It is real. We do urge caution around that. But, obviously the lake's for everybody.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is Nashville. I'm your host, Blake Farmer. Today we're talking about, we're jumping into Percy Priest Lake. It's loved by many, certainly a locals lake, so we want to hear from you. You out on the water today? Call in. What draws you out? Do you play boat ball with my colleague, Katherine Ruppelt? Let us know about that, too, about our backyard lake. The phone lines are open, 615-760-2000. We've got our first caller, JD, on the line from Nashville. What's your Percy Priest lake story, rather?
Hey, Blake, and hey, Sean. Apologies. I gotta say, I think I've been guilty once or twice of wandering on the course when I was on my sailboat, finding that I was in the way and getting out of the way of your rowing shells there. But I'm a sailor on the lake and been out there for the last couple of years.
So is this part of the Nashville Yacht Club or just sailing on your own?
Well, it's a mixture. I'm a part of the Percy Priest Yacht Club, and we've got a lot of opportunities for people to get out, even those with no experience. In fact, every Tuesday night we've got learning at the helm, as we call it, so you can go and register and get on a boat and see what it's all about. But in addition to that, I've got my own boat that I take out from time to time when I'm feeling like I want to be a little bit more adventurous and go out on something that's maybe likely to tip over and get me wet, but certainly going to go fast as well.
Learning at the helm is in a free class for people to just come out and figure out what sailing's all about?
Yeah, that's right. That's how I got involved with it. I learned sailing a little bit down on the Gulf of Mexico with my wife's family vacation down there. But I'd known about this for a while. When I first moved to Nashville, I wanted to get into sailing and was surprised to find that we've got a lake to sail on, and a pretty good one, as well as a yacht club as well there on Percy Priest. So that Tuesday night class, it's just meant for anybody, and it's absolutely free. Just go online and register for it. Yeah.
Is there anything about Priest Lake that makes it better for sailing? I mean, I noticed compared to some other lakes around, it doesn't have quite as much hill, like Center Hill has the hills up next to it. I would imagine block some of the wind. Does it get better wind than other lakes nearby?
It depends, and I'll be honest, I've never really sailed on lakes nearby, but It was a concern of mine when I first started sailing. I thought, is this going to be transferable? Is this going to help? And because the wind changes so much, and you kind of have to think about it day to day or even on the day about where it's coming from, I think it kind of makes you a better sailor. It makes you more in touch with the wind. You got to be really thoughtful about, how you're pointing your boat and how you're working with it.
No, JD, thanks for the call. Appreciate you calling in, talking to us about sailing. Sean Wodarczyk here in the studio. It sounds like you were jumping in.
Yeah, I was going to say, we see the sailors out there a lot. We actually share marina space with them. They're usually great people.
Usually.
Well, I mean, every now and then they get on our course, like JD said. I'm kidding. No, they're great. One thing that's kind of funny is the nights they're great for sailing are horrible for rowing. And so
choppy water because of the wind?
Choppy water because the wind is not great for us, but it's great for the sailors. And so, we're kind of out there at different times based on the weather. And he's totally right. The wind on that lake changes left and right like nobody's business.
Yeah. Tell me about what draws you out. It seems like there's probably a convenience factor for a lot of folks that you can be in town and hop over to the lake. Obviously traffic can get a little crazy around the lake, but you're there pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, if you're coming from downtown and traffic's not abysmal, you can be out there in 25 minutes. And that's great that you can go from, staring at a computer screen and, being in your office or, wherever you may work, and then suddenly being able to be out in nature. And that's a really big draw, to just have an entirely different environment that's really great, being outdoors on the water and, just a handful of minutes.
So obviously the proximity to civilization means that a lot of people can be out there. And so you've got, all kinds of people, different boats, everything's out there. Have you had any kind of near misses, harrowing experiences out on the water?
Yes. I mean, that's part of being on a lake. And that's one thing about Percy Priest that's kind of interesting. It's got a lot of different users, some who are very experienced with boats and some who are not. And so the really experienced boat users, the fishermen, the sailors, those sorts of folks, they're usually really careful with the way they operate their craft. And that's great. It's really great to see. And we don't have a lot of issues with that. Sometimes you get people who've rented a jet ski for the first time. And they, are a 19-year-old kid and they don't quite know what they're doing and maybe need a little more training. And that can be a little harrowing. Often, though, the most harrowing stuff is actually the weather. Not the other boaters. Like one night, you made allusion in the intro to a boat capsizing. We did have one night where the weather got so bad that one of our boats sank. Of course, it was like a $45,000 boat.
No way.
We had to drag it out with a motorboat and try to put it back on land. It's affectionately called the sinking of the Ryman, since that was the name of the shell. But so, yeah, you do have close calls due to the weather sometimes, especially if lightning's involved, and you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Well, it can come up quick. You do winter out on the lake? I mean, are y'all rowing year-round?
Generally not. So we go indoor during the winter. We rent a hangar over at Cornelia Fort Air Park from Metro.
Wow.
And it is like the grungiest 80s movie workout facility you've ever seen. So if you think of a montage from something you would have seen in 1984, it's taking place in this hangar. And so we put our rowing machines in there and we go indoors. Some people will still go out in the winter. I've been out in the winter, but we're trying to be cautious about that because it can be really cold. And if you wind up in the water when it's cold, bad things can happen.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap up, for anyone who's just now realizing there is a rowing club in Nashville, what would somebody have to do to join the crew, or tryouts or something?
No tryouts. So we have a couple different access points. And we have both adult and kid programming. So we've got opportunities for both. And we have an adaptive program. So that's for folks who need the equipment adapted to their specific physical needs. Like if you've got disability or whatnot. So your entry points are one of our Learn to Row weekends, and we advertise those on our website. And so if you've never rowed before, you'd sign up for one of those. We'll get you in a boat for a while, and you can come out and check out the lake with us. If you've rowed before, competitively or otherwise, which a lot of our members have, but I'd say a lot, maybe about a third, right? So if you're coming from that background, then you go to the website, NashvilleRowing.org. Just sign up, come on out, put you in a boat, and we'll go have some fun.
All right. We'll have links pointing to the Nashville Rowing Club on the web post for today's show. Sean is a member and president of the Nashville Rowing Club. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. And, we like our lake.
All right. Well, we'll be out there. You can't talk about being out on the water without addressing safety. In some years, Percy Priest leads Tennessee lakes in the number of fatal drownings. Last week, I spoke with David Crane, who heads a team of volunteers. They're certified divers who help with search and rescue operations by the Office of Emergency Management. Let's take a listen. David, welcome to This is Nashville.
Thank you for having me.
There's a sign at Percy Priest that has this running count of how many people have drowned at the lake. And I do wonder, is there something more dangerous about Percy Priest than other lakes in Tennessee?
Inherently, not necessarily. I think when you have a lake whose primary function is recreation, and it is a big draw when the weather gets warm, unfortunately, with a higher population tends to lead to a higher number of incidents.
You lead the public safety dive team. I do wonder what exactly your team does from day to day.
We are focused on waterborne incidents, rescue as well as recovery. So if there's any type of incident that requires subsurface searching, that's where we come to play. Our hope is that we are working to accomplish a live rescue. Unfortunately, time is not our friend in that endeavor, and in some cases we do have to transition into a recovery.
Most people who drown, it seems that it's because they weren't wearing a PFD. Can we keep ourselves and our loved ones alive simply by wearing a PFD? Is the solution that simple?
It is definitely a large part of it, yes. You mentioned earlier the signs around the lake with the numbers that change every time that there's an unfortunate drowning. The majority of those are completely preventable, and wearing a life jacket is a very, very large part of that. I have been doing recovery since '92, and I have yet to recover a drowning victim that was wearing a life jacket.
Is there anything else you would recommend that folks who are out on the water this summer do, whether it's on Percy Priest or another lake, to protect themselves?
We want people to use our waterways responsibly. They're there for us to go and enjoy. However, doing so in a responsible manner is key to that. Make sure that you're wearing the appropriate PFD for the activities that you are engaged in. Making sure that they're easily accessible is also key. If you've got one PFD for each of your passengers on a boat, how quick can you get to them? And just as important, do your passengers know how to wear them? So take that time to become familiar with the PFD that you're going to be wearing. And I always say that PFDs are just like seatbelts. They don't work if you don't wear them.
Well, David, thank you for leaving us with that. We appreciate the work you do and certainly hope that you and your team will not be busy this summer.
Fingers crossed.
When we come back, we'll get back on land for a bit, but not far from the lake, and we'll take more of your calls. What's the best kept secret of Percy Priest? Any unusual encounters? Tell us your story. Give us a call, 615-760-2000. This is Nashville.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org. Funding for This is Nashville comes from Burr & Foreman Law Firm, serving clients with transactional, litigation, and regulatory needs. Discovering how each client defines a win and working with them every step of the way to achieve it. Burr.com.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Welcome back. Today we are obsessing over Percy Priest Lake. A little history that we might not hit otherwise. The J. Percy Priest Lake, it's a human-made reservoir built by the Army Corps of Engineers, completed in 1968, though it was authorized in the 40s. The town of Couchville was leveled and flooded while it was built, and one of the main streets of the town is still underwater. Percy Priest has been in the news many times, unfortunately, often for tragedies. Aside from drownings, 4 years ago, a private jet with 7 passengers, all leaders of the Remnant Fellowship Church in Brentwood, crashed into the lake. There were no survivors. This last April, a kayaker from Pennsylvania was camping at Percy Priest with his wife, drowned on the lake while out paddling when a storm picked up. Now, while the lake more often makes headlines when there is loss of life, it is mostly a place full of joy, picnics, mountain biking, hiking, camping, and that's what we're talking about today. What are your best memories at Percy Priest? The phone lines are open, and we want to hear from you. 615-760-2000. This is Nashville producer Katherine Ruppelt, dropped in on a picnic spot to check in with those of us who claim Percy Priest as our own. Let's take a listen.
The Hamilton Creek Recreation Area is a pleasant spot at Percy Priest. There's a playground, picnic tables, and restrooms above a long grassy area that slopes down to a gentle shoreline. Just after 6 on a weeknight, it's comfortably busy. Groups of family and friends have their dinners set up, and kids are running around and splashing in the water. Aman Aziz and her husband and their 4-year-old son are here for their first time and making dinner at a picnic table.
Shrimps with meat, with chicken, with some potatoes, corn, mushrooms, and that's it.
Several yards away, about 15 people, mostly adults, lounge comfortably on towels and chairs with full plates and a steaming coffee station.
Oh, we are regular here. We love to come out here. We bring our kids. We just bring our food. This is our coffee ceremony. We roast our own coffee.
Keeping an eye over the group is Hannah Gerbretensai, who is from Ethiopia but now calls Nashville home.
This is the best place. You don't have to pay anything. You enjoy with the kids. I mean, why not? Every week or every other week.
Closer to the water's edge, friends Gabrielle Densford and Heather Mills are waiting for a pizza delivery and throwing balls into the water for their dogs Gus and Oakley.
Oh, just enjoying the water, enjoying the lake, letting him play out here with his friends and run into the water, get some swimming done.
Heather says they usually see jet skis and boats. If they had been there a bit earlier, they might have seen Frank Leake, a whitewater kayaker who normally enjoys rivers with rapids, paddling across the lake.
What's kind of nice with Percy Priest is it's a place that's consistent, so the water's flat. You don't have to worry about currents and stuff, so I like coming here just to work on my fundamentals.
Blue Jay Miller and their dad, Alec, also just finished paddling in their flatwater kayaks. Blue Jay's is bright pink. Their favorite moments from the day?
Probably like getting to paddle on our own kids' kayak, like through like a lot of the rough, choppy waters by myself. Fun.
We get to like see lots of wild animals and stuff. Like there's another like heron right over there, and we just get to see nature and have some time together, and then we all splash one another at some points.
The sun drops lower in the sky, but there's still plenty of time for everyone to keep on enjoying their own reason for being at Percy Priest.
The number to call and get in on the convo, 615-760-2000 to share your reflections on Percy Priest Lake. On the line, we have Gretchen Abernathy, who takes her 2 sons camping at Percy Priest as a sort of start of summer ritual each year. Thanks for making time to be here.
Thrilled to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, so how was this year's trip? Your sons are 12 and 15, right?
Correct. This was a very different year.
Okay.
Last year it was like perfect weather. All of our friends could come. It was camping trip of the stuff of dreams. This year it was pure rain, lots of cancellations, but we still managed to have a good time every now and then.
Every now and then. I understand that you all actually ended up, having to like go home during the rain out, but you then went back out to the campsite, which I find sort of amazing. I guess that's the beauty of being so close to home, right?
Right. The good thing about camping there is I know if it gets bad, I can get home in half an hour and we can sleep in our beds. And then we'll just get back and see what the storm left of our campsite the next day.
You've got an escape hatch. I love that thinking. All right. So you've lived here in Nashville for a while, but do you remember how you discovered Percy Priest as kind of an escape from the city?
Yeah, I've grown up here, and a friend took me when I was a teenager. So I learned about it when I was a teenager, but then didn't really pay attention to it again until I had young kids and went with some friends and realized, wow, this is a place where my kids can swim safely because it's a graduated entry at the lake beach. And we can be with our friends. And on a bad day, they'll charge $5 for parking. But oftentimes you can even get in without paying. So it's a free, built-in, great entertainment spot with all my kids and their friends.
Are you all regular campers, or is this like a once-a-year thing?
We are regular visitors of the lake, but we only camp once a year.
Yeah.
Try to make it like an end of semester extended party.
Yeah. Well, but I didn't know if you camp other places. I'm just sort of wondering
we do.
So what's the appeal of Percy each year as this tradition develops?
Percy, there at Anderson Road, you can camp and it feels really secluded, but you're still close to your friends. So all of our friends can come out there without having to drive 2 hours to Kentucky or, some other state park if we're going really adventurous. So it's the proximity, and there's a built-in thing to do during the day because we camp at the campsite and then just drive a smidge up the road, and we're at the day use area, which is where the lake beach is, and there's a playground, and there's grills. So it's easy to spend time there with friends and family.
Is there anything lost, though, in being so close? You're not exactly getting away. You're pretty close to the house. And anything lost in it being such a short drive, even though there are benefits?
Oh, absolutely. It's a totally different kind of trip than if we're really wanting to experience nature, that's not the place to go because there's concrete. You don't have to strain your eyes to find concrete, and you're never not hearing the sounds of the city. But at the same time, the birds and the insects are a lot louder than in my backyard.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Blake Farmer. Today, we are soaking in Percy Priest Lake. Are you on the water today? I dare you to call in. The number is 615-760-2000. How do you camp? Do you camp on one of the 22 named islands in the lake? Join the conversation. 615-760-2000. Gretchen, we asked you to be on the show, but can I tell you a story?
Of course.
Okay. Well, you're so kind. A buddy of mine likes to do these weeknight campouts. It's kind of like you just sneak out after dinner. We go kayak to an island. We hang up the hammocks. We drink some beers till the sun goes down. We go to sleep. We get up in the morning, kayak back to work. Well, one of the islands, I think it's called Hole in the Wall Island or something. It's one of the big ones. We roll up to it. There's a raccoon at the campsite where we have decided we'd like to stay, and it looks very sickly, and we kind of run that thing off. But I'm pretty sure that thing is coming back to visit us in the evening, and of course it did. And so I'm in the hammock, and I hear this raccoon, kind of fumbling through my stuff, and I'm thinking, I'll just, whatever, there's no food in there anyway. I get up in the morning. He has not just gone through my stuff, but he's also defecated on my things. So I'm very unhappy. I'm cursing this raccoon's name under my breath. I'm putting my stuff back into my kayak, and the raccoon is inside my kayak waiting for me, stowing away. I sunk my kayak to get that thing out of it because it would not get out. It really wanted off the island. Anyway, have you had any unusual, that's my long way of asking, any unusual encounters out by the lake?
Nothing to that degree. We always celebrate when we see herons. We had a turtle incident, which was really, it was only an incident because of my son being really sensitive to the potential death factor for the turtle. But he lived, all was well.
Well, what was it? We need to hear it. What's the incident?
So from our campsite, we have a particular campsite that I love, and I will only go to Percy Priest if I can get that campsite because it's very woodsy and it's right on the lake. We're walking along the lake. You can either walk in the woodsy area or along these big rocks, and we discovered this set of 2 rocks that are nice and wide and flat, so we can sit there and it's big enough for all 3 of us to sit and play cards. And it juts up against another rock, and in between them there's this the equivalent of a tide pool. And at one point on our first trip, when my youngest was still pretty young, we found a turtle in there, which was really cool. But then he began to get worried for the turtle and thinking that the turtle was going to starve to death. So he insisted that I try to get the turtle out. I couldn't, blah, blah, blah. I encouraged him, I'm pretty sure the turtle's okay. There's probably a way to get in this little divot area that you and I are not seeing. But he was still really upset about the turtle. So it was time to go back to our tent and go to bed. And I was not willing to go get a tool or my gloves and get the turtle out. So I just fashioned a sort of stick bridge where if he were a mountain climbing turtle, he would be able to climb his way out of this pool. We go back the next morning to again play cards, and the turtle is gone. So we celebrate. I'm not sure what story my son made up for it, but I think in his mind, the turtle climbed out. In my mind, I'm pretty sure the turtle just swam underneath the rocks and got out in a normal turtle way. But this story stuck with him, and it's not like he remembers all the time. He only remembers every year when we go back to those rocks. He'll say oh wait, wasn't there something with a turtle that we saved? So in his mind, it went down as an animal rescue.
I love that. Well, how you've got basically teenagers now who've gone back over and over. What is there? What's the benefit of going back to the same place? And it sounds like maybe those memories are one of the things.
Yeah, and we've also expanded. So we now get 2 sites, just in case if anyone's listening and wants to know the best sites. The best sites at Anderson Road Campsite, in my opinion, are 11 and 12.
Oh, you're giving it away.
I am. They're the woodsiest, and they're right on the lake, and they're the largest
sites. 11 and 12.
That's right. Okay. So I'll only go if we do that. So last year we expanded and got site 12, and that allowed us to invite more friends. And as the kids have gotten older, I feel more confident with hosting. And so now I'm sure, friends want to spend the night. So other people bring their tents and set up and stay over with us. And I no longer require that a parent stay, because now everyone's old enough to take care of the basics for themselves.
Yeah.
So that is how we really enjoy camping, is when it gets to be just an extension of the friendships.
Before you go, for anybody who hasn't camped with kids, it sounds like Percy Priest is a good place to get started, since it's, you can always bail if needed. But any tips for those who want to go for it?
You have to get your campsite pretty early, because they get booked up quite quickly. And also the people at the guard station are quite helpful. Do be wary of the coin laundry. It sometimes eats quarters, and you have to really stake out where you're going to refill your water, because there are not a lot of great water refill options.
All right, great tips from Gretchen Abernathy, who lives here in Middle Tennessee and will likely be out at Percy Priest over the summer and again next year. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, thanks.
We have to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to go beneath the surface. We're going fishing, talking about a big catch that would be unbelievable if we did not have the video, but we do. From the banks or from a boat, how do you do Percy Priest Lake? Let us know what you think of the lake. Call in 615-760-2000. We'll be right back. I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about Percy Priest Lake, which is a short drive from downtown Nashville. We're closing out the hour talking about a big catch or big catches. Got a story to share with us about fishing on Percy Priest Lake. The time to call is now 615-760-2000. We'd love to take your call now. So joining us to share a day, it's actually a night that he will never forget at Percy Priest, is Dirhat Muhammad. In 2023, Dirhat caught a 76.5 pound fish off the bank while camping there with family and friends. Dirhat, welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thanks for having me.
We actually had to reel you in from out back. We're in Metro Center, which is surrounded by water, that all these canals that are kind of from the Cumberland River over here in this floodplain. But did you catch anything back there?
No, I was just looking, but there was a lot of big fish out there.
There really are?
Yeah.
Well, I see people fishing around here from time to time, and I often wonder what might actually be in the water. But there we are. All right, but let's get to a big night. I want to talk about your big catch a couple years ago, 23. You were camping with your family and friends at Percy Priest at the Anderson Road campsite. In fact, would that be the same campsite that Gretchen was talking about?
Yes.
I thought it was. All right, so one evening you put some lines out, and one of your friends took a video when you were pulling this fish from the water. In fact, we've got some of that audio here.
Wow. What the? Oh! Be careful, man. It's like 30 pounds.
Grab him, bro. Grab his mouth.
Is that a gar? That's not a gar.
I'm scared.
Huh?
Oh, I know that fish.
Oh, straight in it. Inside. Get inside of it.
Oh my god. Get off his mouth. Yeah, bro.
Get his head.
Oh my god. His hair, bro.
We made it an edit, so we didn't have any curse words in that one. But all right, so dear, when did you realize that you had something big on the line? Take me to that night.
I had like maybe 6 or 7 poles out there. That particular one that I caught that big one on, just a light action, maybe $15 pole from Walmart, and I had my bells on there, and next thing I know, I seen him going off.
Wait, you put bells on the line?
Well, I put on my pole.
Okay.
So when it goes down, I can hear it because it's dark outside, and so it went. It was going down, and I went and grabbed it, and the minute I picked it up, I knew it wasn't something small. I knew it was it was a big fish. So I fought for about 25 minutes to tire it out and reel them in, and next time you got to take a net with you because I had to go in the water and grab it.
I mean, when you're so for those who've not seen the video, which I assume is most people, but deer hunt basically goes in the water, and I don't know if you had already had a glimpse of that huge thing at some point, but it looks like even you are shocked by just how big that sucker was. How did you pick it up?
Yeah, when I was reeling it in, I seen it, little by little coming closer and closer to me.
Right.
And
of course, in the dark.
Yeah, in the dark. And I seen, I seen it shining up, and I knew it was something big. And then, once it got close to me, it's a fish, I'm going for it, and I have no net. So I handed the pole to my brother, and I went in the water and grabbed it.
And it was a $15 pole that was...
It's something like that, yeah.
All right, listen, you got a fish story. We want to hear it before we close out the hour. 615-760-2000 to join us on the air. So you grew up fishing at Percy Priest, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did you get going?
My dad. My dad took me and my brothers when we were, young. I don't know exactly how old, maybe 7, 8, maybe younger. And from there on, I just love being out there, man.
Yeah. And I assume your father loved fishing too.
Oh, he still does.
He still does.
Yeah.
Y'all fish together, or is it something you've found your own way?
We still fish together. We went last week. We went trout fishing last week.
There's trout in Priest Lake or somewhere else?
No, somewhere else.
Somewhere else. Okay. Well, so what is? Tell me about fishing Priest Lake. I'll just show my ignorance. I'm not sure what fish are in there. Is there something in particular people fish for in Priest Lake?
Right now, a lot of crappie are biting.
Okay.
A lot of crappie, a lot of bass. Just anything, really.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you're fishing, usually from the bank or boat?
When I fish from the bank.
Really?
Yeah. But I do. My friends do have boats, and we do go
Yeah. What's the difference in what it seems like a different experience depending on what you're going to do.
Bank fishing is good, but boat fishing you can go wherever you want, really. But I don't know. I kind of like bank fishing, but I also do like being on the boat. Just being out on the water and going wherever you want to go and cast out wherever you want to cast out.
So Priest Lake to you, obviously it's a place you go often, I assume, because it's so convenient. But what do you find so great about Priest Lake as a place for fishing?
Me personally, I just like being out there. Like I was telling her, I could be out there all day and not catch anything, but just being out on the water and and especially Percy Priest, because we all grew up on it. But yeah.
So where is your honey hole, your favorite fishing spot?
Anderson Road Campground. That was my first time going there, and I caught.
Wait, the place that you caught the 76-pound fish.
Yeah,
you never fished there before.
Never fished there before, and I caught a lot of fish before I caught that one. I don't know if you've seen in the video. There was a catfish laying down. I had just caught it.
Oh, really?
So when I caught the big one, I left that one alone and went for the big one. But Anderson Road, that was one of the best spots I've ever fished because I caught a lot of fish.
Really?
But Four Corners Marina is a spot that I grew up fishing on. And
if you'd like to share your fishing story from Percy Priest Lake, and we know the stories are out there, 615-760-2000. So, on this night a couple years ago when you caught this massive fish, you stayed up the whole night fishing. Did you catch something else that night?
Oh, yeah. I didn't sleep at all. So when we were camping in that area, and during the day around 3 or 4 o'clock, we were all swimming in that same exact area where I caught it from.
Yeah.
And around 10 o'clock, that's when I caught it, and my family's behind me. They're all grilling now and stuff. And then once I catch it, one by one, they all start coming, and they got so loud that the people next to us kind of got mad.
Well, it is a crowded place at times, especially on the weekend.
Yeah.
So you're fishing all night. Was it to try to catch this big guy again?
Like I said, when I'm fishing, my mind is focused on fishing, and I was just, everybody kept telling me, go to sleep for a little bit. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna fish.
But it wasn't about catching this fish again. It was just about if it's hot, you got to keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I feel like he must still be out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
For sure.
Have you gone back for him?
They, not at Anderson Road Campground, but I do want to go back over there. I would have to tell my cousin where exactly that was because I don't remember, but if I can get the spot, I would go back over there.
Are you telling me you don't remember precisely the place where you caught the most gigantic fish I've ever seen?
If I go over there, I'll see it.
You'll know
I'll
when
know,
you see
but
it.
If I just go there right now, I probably won't.
Yeah. Well, so after you caught this fish, you reached out to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency about the catch to see if it qualified for a state record. I mean, you've got the video. You're obviously holding this thing up. You even have like a handheld, what do you call that? Like that weighs the fish?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it clearly says like 76 pounds.
Yeah.
But TWRA has this specific process for recognizing new state records that a fish must be weighed on a designated certified scale, which includes like a scale at a grocery store, a meat counter, feed stores, TWA offices, even the post office, and have a witness. Anglers must also fill out an application, and TWRA does warn that, quote, an angler has the right to release the fish and not submit it for a state record. If the angler chooses to submit the fish for a state record, the resulting examination will likely result in the death of that fish. And of course, I guess you're kind of a catch and release guy. But did you know that at the time?
I didn't. I didn't even know it was a state record. I didn't know what type of fish it was. I thought it was just a regular carp.
What was it?
It was a smallmouth buffalo or a black buffalo. It was either or. But
and what's the defining feature of that? Because I was looking at a picture of the fish. It looks like its mouth is almost down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Because, it was so old. They said it was maybe at least 80 years old, maybe.
Hold up. That the fish has been there like as long as the lake has been there.
Yeah, that's what one of the news outlets that reached out to TWRA. That's what they told them, that it's close to 80 years old. So,
well, it sounds like it would have been what a state record if it was a fish.
It would have been the state record, and then it would have been second in the whole U.S.
No way.
Yeah.
For that kind of fish?
For that kind of fish. First place was at 80 pounds, I believe, in Utah.
No way.
Yeah.
So what is it like knowing that you would have the record, that there's kind of this asterisk next to that?
It gets me mad, but
really,
but I'm like, you know what? In my heart, I know what I caught and what I have. So that's all that matters. I mean, I'm not asking for anything, but it was just a fun catch, and I'll do it again.
Well, all you have to do is catch it again, and then I guess get it certified. But yeah, so if you've taken it to a certified scale, or at least not released it back into the water, I guess you might have that record. But it does mean that the fish is still out there, and since others might be looking for it now, well, you don't have to give away your big spot. I do want to know, at least, does it have a name? Have you given it a name? Because it looms large. Lots of people have seen this video.
Goliath.
What?
Goliath.
Goliath.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like a grouper.
Yeah.
Goliath grouper.
Oh, that's a kind of fish.
It
That's
is.
a Goliath grouper. Yeah. Okay. Well, so how's the fishing this year? Are things moving?
Yeah.
Biting?
We caught about 30-something trout last week. And Percy, I've caught... the crappie has been slow this year because all the rain, the storm, and all that. But I went a couple weeks ago and I caught about like 10 crappie, so it wasn't bad.
But what's it like to go out to Priest Lake when the fish aren't biting? You go home with nothing.
It doesn't matter.
Why?
I just like being out there. I can go empty-handed. And still not. I mean, every fish I catch, I give out anyways. I don't bring it home.
Yeah.
So sometimes if I, feel like making it, and cooking it, I will. But most of the time, I just give it out.
She's wasn't prepped to be on the air here, but you are in the studio here with your daughter.
Yeah.
Does she go fishing with you ever?
I have taken her before, lots of times, and she has caught a lot of fish, but for some reason she don't like it.
Well, it is. The pace is not quite as fast as kids need things to be these days.
Maybe when she gets a little older.
Yeah. Well, how important is it to kind of pass on this tradition? Obviously, this thing that has really been, a big part of your life to this point.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to get her into it. Maybe she's just too young right now, saying that she don't want to fish. But
well, there are other ways to enjoy the lake, as we've heard all hour. Though, what else do you do at the lake?
Oh yeah, like kayaking and stuff like that. Kayaking. Going on, friends' boats and.
Yeah. So, do you all go gather out there for other family events as well? Is that kind of the gathering spot, the lake?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camping as well?
Not so much camping. That was my first time camping.
Well,
but we have been on the islands.
You have. Yeah. What's different out there?
We just drove the boat out there and we cooked out on the island. We never stayed on there, but. I can't remember which one it was, but...
Well, they all have names, and, I told my raccoon story earlier this hour. Oh, you heard it? Yeah. Okay. But apparently one of the islands is actually called Raccoon Island.
Is it?
but that is not where I was. There's also a Pig Island. There's a lot of 40 islands. Half of them have names, so we still have some work to do. We could add our names to those islands. We've been talking to Dirhat Muhammad, who lives in Smyrna. 2 years ago, caught a 76.5-pound fish at Percy Priest Lake, which we've been talking about all day. For all who live by and love Percy Priest Lake, thank you for being part of the conversation this hour. And Dirhat, thank you to you.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to listen back, This is Nashville is also a podcast updated each afternoon. And while you're at it, try out the Nash Villager podcast with Nina Cardona, updated each morning with headlines, a big story for the day, and a bit of Nashville history. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Katherine Ruppelt. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Limley. Our board operator is Liv Lombardi, and Mary Mancini was manning the phones. It was hosted by me, Blake Farmer, and you'll be hearing a lot more of me because I am the new permanent host of the show. Thanks for having me. The masterminds behind our theme music behind me are Larange and Namir Blade. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get podcasts, and the conversation doesn't have to end here. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.